I am going to put an image on the screen. Many of you have seen it before. It was drawn by anonymous German artists in the 1800s. I want you to tell me, what do you see? Who sees the young woman? Who sees the old woman? Got another one for you. What do you see? Do you see a duck? Who sees the duck? Okay, who sees the rabbit? Okay, one more. What do you see? Besides the obvious longhorn up there, what do you see? Do you see life or do you see death? Howdy, my name is Kim DeVore, and I am class of 96. And in 2012, my life was turned upside down when my husband of 14 years passed away suddenly from an unknown heart condition. At the time, my son was 10 and my daughter was 8. I will tell you what I see when I look up there. I see a choice. A choice I had to make on November 9th of 2012. I could choose life, or I could choose to die with him. When my son was 5, I had to take him to the pediatric ophthalmologist. He sits in the chair, doctor puts these shapes up on the wall, gives him these funny-looking glasses, and he says, "How many shapes do you see?" My son says, 2. Flips the glasses, asks him again, "How many shapes do you see?" And my son says, 2. Takes the glasses off, hands them to me. "Mom, put the glasses on." So I put the glasses on. "How many shapes do you see?" 4. "How many shapes do you see now?" 4. You see, my son was only seeing with one eye at a time. He could not merge the two together, so he was only seeing half of the picture. Here's the problem. Most of us are only seeing life with one eye. Most of us are only seeing half of the picture. And because we interpret our situation in light of what we think we know, we often need a second set of eyes. Without the doctor's help, we would never have known that my son saw the world with one eye at a time. We need the right people in our life to help us change our perspective. I have a dear friend. Her name is Alicia. She is one of those friends that we say in Tulsa, Oklahoma, she is in my backyard. That means she does not need an invitation. When she speaks, I listen, because I know she's doing it out of love. Even if I don't want to hear it, I receive it. So one day I was sharing a situation with her, and she says, "Kim, you need to burn your out card." You see, I was 1 foot in and 1 foot out of this situation, and I knew I was supposed to be 100% in, but I was holding this out card. I didn't even know I was holding it. She was right. I needed somebody in my life who was going to show me what I did not see, somebody that I trusted and I was willing to get vulnerable with. We all need the Alicias in our life. We all need someone who does not need an invitation into our backyard. There is a popular hashtag out there, hashtag IYKYK. If you know, you know. I'm going to challenge that statement because I would contend you don't know what you don't know. How can you if you're only seeing half of the picture? My husband was a runner. So when he passed, we started this running group. One day I was in western Oklahoma, and I started running down this road, and I came to a fork. In front of me was the largest hill I'd encountered up until that point. To the left of me, I knew that it was a semicircle that ran through the state park. And if I took it, then I would run by, dumpsters, trash cans, RVs, showers. But I also knew it was easy and it was flat. The road in front of me, difficult. And I was having a really bad running day. So I had a decision to make. I chose the hill. And as I started running up the hill, the journey was difficult, but it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And for those of you who are runners, you know that runs have these mileage race markers. And so as I was running to the left of me, there were these yellow wildflowers, and their position and placement were equidistant. They were like race markers. So I just thought, okay, Kim, get to the next one, get to the next one. And when I reached the peak of the hill, I saw one of the most stunning images I have ever seen. It was just fields of all these wildflowers. And when you're on top of that hill, you're actually on top of a dam. So I turned, and the sun was rising. It was one of the most beautiful sunrises I have ever seen. And so I stood there for a really long time. And I started running then back down the hill. And as I was running down the hill, the sun was hitting at me. It was super radiant. And when I got to the point where I had to make that decision to go up the hill or take the left and go in the semicircle, the sun disappeared. It was blocked by the trees. And I thought, this is really interesting. I'm going to run down to the hill where or down the road where I would have exited that semicircle because I want to see what it looks like there. So I kept running down the road, and the sun came back out. I get to the exact point where I would have exited that semicircle, and the sun disappeared. The trees blocked it. Here's what I learned. We all have a choice. We can choose the hard path or the easy path, but when we reach the peak of the hard path, our perspective changes. The journey looks different. And as we start to go back down that path that we came from, the new perspective always shines through. We can take the easier path, but we would miss what was intended for us. I could have chosen the easier path, but not only would I have missed the beauty, I would never have even known I missed it. Our perspective is a result of the choices that we make. The theme of this TED Talk is the road less traveled. Some of us need to take the road that is more traveled because that is where we will find our support. That was where we will find those people who can help us see what we didn't see. We need to just step into somebody else's footsteps for a short time. On the other hand, some of us need to take the road that's less traveled. We need to take the harder path because that's where we learn things we didn't know before and we see things that we never saw before. We need to create a footprint in the path. I will share with you where my perspective comes from, where my lens comes from. It comes from above. I pray all the time, Lord, help me see the world through your eyes. Help me love the way you love. Help me to put your perspective above mine. The question you have to ask yourself is, what lens am I looking through? What do you see? What are you not seeing? I recognize that many of you have gone through something, are going through something, or will go through something in the future, and I know it is hard. I get it. And I also know that some of you have been through something that I could never have even imagined. And trying to find the good in the bad seems impossible. But it starts with one choice at a time. One choice I made when my husband passed, never get back in my bed. For me, it was defeat. So I chose to make my bed every morning. Some of you just need to start by making your bed every morning. Our perspective can be what pushes us forward or holds us back. Why would you choose something that holds you back? It is possible that the reason you lost those friends is because they were a really bad influence on you, and you would have made a decision that changed the course of your life. Or maybe the breakup happened because the person you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with is out there waiting for you, and you never would have met that person had you been in your current relationship. Or maybe the path you're currently on is not the path you're supposed to be on. I have invited someone to help me with my presentation. He is an Aggie. He's class of 98, but he did not graduate in 98 because while he was at A&M, he went to the Olympics. I would like to introduce you to, before I introduce you, let me give you a little background. He is a 3-time Olympian and also a silver and bronze medalist. So I would like to introduce you to Vic Wonderly. I asked Vic to come and show us what it looks like to shoot a few arrows into the yellow. Okay, there's always a... So for any of you that know archery or maybe don't know archery, there's always this warm-up round where they have to warm up and check their equipment. And sometimes the lighting actually changes. And Vic flew in from South Dakota, so sometimes, my daughter was an archer, so actually sometimes in transit, things get messed up a little bit. Okay, well, have you ever had something that you thought was going to go a certain way and it doesn't really go the way that you think it's going to go? It doesn't go the way you envisioned it. What do we see when we look at this target is we see 3 arrows in the blue and the black. However, when we flip our perspective, we see things that we never saw before. 3 yellows. How are you viewing your life? At what point in the story of your life do you see an opportunity to flip your perspective? This picture reveals a concrete reality. We all have a birth date, and we all have a death date. And for me, that's my daily reminder that I am living in the space between those 2 dates. Look around. What if I told you that the person sitting next to you would be dead in 16 years? Because that's what happened to me. What if I told you you would be dead in 16 years? What are you going to do with the time you have left? You were created and placed on this earth for an eternal purpose. Don't wait until it's too late to make your footprint in the road. So I am going to ask you one more time. What do you see? Life or death? The choice is yours.